Greetings and welcome to the Pampering Myself podcast, an advocacy for self-care. We'll laugh, we'll cry, and most importantly, we'll learn that you can't pour from an empty cup. You'll hear stories, interviews, and conversations which will empower you in living your best life. Greetings, ladies, and welcome to the Pampering Myself podcast. I'm your host, Pam Jones, aka Jonesy, and welcome to episode 3 of the Living Your Best Life series, a phrase people often use when doing something one enjoys, accomplishing a goal, or finding purpose. It means to live life to the fullest. And I believe some of the most important elements of living one's best life is to live it healthy, peacefully, and purposefully. And in this episode, I'll be talking about meditation, one of my favorite things to do. And according to an article written by Dr. Matthew Throw, meditation is a habitual process in changing or training your mind to focus and redirect your thoughts. It's also practiced for a list of other benefits, which I'll discuss in this podcast. I want to make it clear, though, for those who lack knowledge or a little skeptic, guided meditation doesn't mean you're allowing someone else to take control of your mind, but that they're there to help you learn how to do it yourself. Last year, we had an event, and during one of the sessions on meditation, there were a few ladies who were a little skeptical and didn't participate. And afterwards, I was able to speak to one of them, and she got a better understanding of the practice. But today is not about how. We're going to learn some of the science-based benefits of meditation according to Healthline. But before I begin there, I want to share my story about how I began meditating. And actually, it was by accident. And I have to also say, meditation and led me to prayer, which are two very different things. So I just want to make that clear. I've always enjoyed sitting outside on my front porch and watching people, as most of us do. But before I started meditating, my time was spent filled with watching the cars go by, the people walking by, thinking about the day's events and what else I had to do. So my mind was constantly racing. Now, if every moment of your waking time is spent with thoughts of something, then you know what I mean. Even at night, when I was trying to sleep, my brain just kept going until eventually I fell off to sleep. Then one day, I decided to sit in the backyard after taking some meat off the grill. Now, the only time I normally sat in the backyard was when we had people over or we were cooking on the grill. And I noticed it was quiet. And I kind of like the peace and quiet versus the traffic and the sounds of people and the kids running up and down the street and whatever else was going on when you sit on the front. So I decided that the next time I got a chance to sit outside, that I would sit in the back. And as I was sitting back there at the table and in a chair, I began to imagine swinging and how peaceful that would be to swing. You know, one of those, they might have called them back in the day gliders. So that's what I was thinking of, swing, and how peaceful that would be. So I bought one, and that was the beginning. Now, I was really looking forward to sitting on the back, and before long, I began focusing on the clouds forming in the sky, listening to the birds sing, watching the squirrels chase each other. And those distractions of the day's events and what all I had to do or what all I had done left me. And for me, it became a ritual because it was peaceful. And when the weather got too cold outside, I found a place inside in search of solace. And I began to recognize that some of the benefits I'm about to share with you. Now, keep in mind all of these benefits I'm about to share are science based according to Healthline. And Healthline's medical professionals ensure that the information they publish is accurate and evidence based. So they listed 12 benefits in this article. I'm only going to share with you five, the five that I think are the most important. Number one is meditation reduces stress. Now, stress is one of the most common reasons people meditate. And from personal experiences, I can tell you it works. The research shows that meditation can also improve symptoms of stress related conditions such as irritable bowel syndrome, post traumatic stress disorder, and fibromyalgia. Now, I was really surprised at the findings here because when I think about my experience, let's say up until the last maybe 10 years or so, I had a serious problem with irritable bowel syndrome. And if I was under stress at that time, which I'm sure I was, and I can think back over a lot of things that would have stressed me out, that makes sense. Because once I learned certain meditation practice, breathing techniques, self-care, my irritable bowel syndrome seems to resolve itself. And I'm going to guess it didn't resolve itself. I took better care of myself. And I believe that is what helped. So, meditation, yes, it does help reduce stress. And when you think in terms of other medical conditions, stress can exacerbate it as well. So, if you're constantly stressed out and things start happening to you physically and mentally, let's say one thing after another type of syndrome, then that could be the cause of it. One thing snowballs and something else, and it just continues. The second one I want to share is it promotes emotional health. Now, some forms of meditation can lead to an improved self image and a more positive outlook on life. And I think this research talks more about mindfulness meditation, which has been found to decrease depression in over 4,600 adults. Now, this was two studies that were performed. And a form of mindful meditation is when you focus on your breathing and it results in paying attention in the moment. You hear? In the moment. It's purposeful. In the moment helps take you away from all of the outside distractions and things that are going on in our lives that we all have every day, whether it's job or family, health. It takes us away because we're thinking in the moment. And at that moment, we're feeling pretty safe. And that's what mindful meditation does. So that sounds like something that we all need to practice because it is a good form of meditation. The third one I like to share is called, may reduce age-related memory loss. Okay, so that is something I think that would be helpful because it improves in attention and clarity of thinking, and it may help keep your mind young. And as we age, some of us at different stages in our life, we forget things. And I know that I have walked into a room and forgot what I walked into that room for. Now, I also learned that if I walk out of the room and go do something else, memory comes back, and then I remember what I walked in that room for in the first place. But as we get older, sometimes it's not that quick. Our memory doesn't come back as fast as we like, or We can forget things. I have two cousins, and I have known them all their lives because I'm older, and yet I get their names mixed up and have always gotten their names mixed up. But I catch myself when I say one. So why is it that I just can't remember the right name in the first place? Who knows? But I also notice that my memory loss is tied into what I eat, what I don't eat, whether I get enough sleep, whether or not I get enough sleep. All of that ties in. So, in addition to fighting our normal age related memory loss, meditation at least partially improves memories, and especially in patients with dementia. And if you're a caregiver, it can also help control the stress and improve coping in those who are caring for family members. As we know, that can also be a big problem. Number four is one of the things that the World Health Organization has identified as a serious problem globally, and that's lack of sleep. Meditation improves sleep. Nearly half the population will struggle with insomnia at some point. That's evident by Facebook for all of those people who get on Facebook at 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, and say, I can't sleep. News alert, put the phone down, because it also has shown that that light inside of your phone, as you stare into your phone looking on Facebook, does not help the situation. One study compared two mindfulness-based meditation programs by randomly assigning participants to two groups, one of two groups. One group practiced meditation and the other didn't. And the participants who meditated fell asleep sooner, stayed asleep longer, compared to those who didn't meditate. Now, becoming skillful in meditation may help you control or redirect that racing away thoughts that we all have that lead to insomnia. I can go from one subject to another. And when I recognize that I'm doing that, when I go to sleep, then I have to shut it all down, because I go to sleep with all those thoughts and I entertain them. So now I've learned how to not entertain them and say, I'll address that tomorrow, and go to sleep. So additionally, it can help you relax your body, releasing tension and placing you in a peaceful state in which you're most likely to go to sleep. And that is so important. And then there's number five. Number five, it helps reduce blood pressure, which also contributes to arteriosclerosis or narrowing of the arteries, heart attacks, and strokes. And that is serious, because blood pressure decreases not only during meditation, but also over time in individuals who meditate regularly. This can reduce the strain on the heart and the arteries and help prevent heart disease. So we want to be very conscious of things that we can control. And self-care, that's what it's all about. Taking responsibility for your own health versus relying on doctors and medication. And I'm not knocking doctors or medication, because for some that is very much needed. But this is one of those things that we can control. It doesn't cost anything to meditate. Meditation can be done anywhere, sitting on the bus, as a passenger in a vehicle, 10, 15 minutes on your lunch hour. Different things that people can do to relax would be of a benefit. Breathing in, out. I have an Apple Watch like most people do nowadays, or those health watches. So my watch will tell me to breathe. Now, you wouldn't think that I would need to know to be reminded to breathe because, after all, breath is what we need for life. But sometimes we shadow breathe, and it's the deep breathing in and out that helps circulate the blood and is benefit to our body. So that's another helpful piece because subconsciously I would just probably shadow breathe all day long. So there are various types also of meditation. Mindfulness was one I mentioned. Um, Different things, different forms of meditation. If you're interested in it, I suggest that you go online and look for places that host meditation events. Go to their website. A lot of times they will give you the types of meditations that they do and what they're involved in. It's not necessarily that you have to go to a studio and do meditation. You can do it at home in peace and quiet and solitude. And that's the whole thing about meditation. When I was on the ship this summer, I actually saw people as I was walking around the track. They were sitting off to the side in a sitting position doing meditation. Because when you learn the process of meditation and how to actually do it properly, then you can tune everything out. So, with the noise and the distraction of people walking around the track, those people were able to sit there and meditate and tune everyone else out and not affect them. So, it doesn't have to necessarily be in a quiet room. That's a personal preference. So, those are just some suggestions. Hopefully, you'll take it to heart and think about ways in which you can alleviate some of the distractions, some of the stress and anxiety that you have in your life, and think about meditation as one of the tools. It's not the only tool. There's yoga. There's different forms of, there's walking that'll help, whatever will help reduce the stress and anxiety and the day-to-day things that we deal with. But the main thing is to get plenty of rest, proper nutrition, and to be able to have a clear and free mind as much as possible. And until next time, have a blessed day.